What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about something a little bit unpleasant. I wanted to talk about the worst palettes of 2020. Generally speaking, I don't like to do like completely negative videos here on my channel because I just don't like it, okay? I don't like talking about crap. I don't like talking about items that made me feel like I was wasting my money, but you know what? It's reality. You guys probably already know I hate them. So let's talk about which ones were just the worst. Just the worst. I'm gonna try to make it as fun as I can so it's not like a completely negative time, you know? I'm not gonna bother listing these palettes in the description down below. Should I? You know what? I will, but I'll only link to them so that you can see why I didn't like them by watching the video that I made with each palette if you want to, so you could see in real time why I wound up not liking these. Does that make sense? That's the plan. I have all of the palettes in front of me except for one because it was so bad and it was so many months ago that I just got rid of it, but everything else I still have here so we can like really get in there and talk about it. Don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoy it because it's very helpful and I would very much appreciate it. If you are new around here, feel free to subscribe and hang out for more videos because I would love to have you. I don't think there's anything else that we need to talk about except, okay, I'm gonna just be very real with you. I'm filming this right after I filmed the video where I was talking about my favorite palettes and I had to take my sweater off because I got so heated talking about palettes that I started to get sweaty. And that was the palettes I liked. So can you imagine the sweat, the armpit sweat that would happen if I just left my sweater on for this? Holy Moses. That was a really long way of saying that I have sweaty armpits right now. These are not ranked in any particular order. I'm just going through them in the order that I think of why I don't like them that much. So yeah, let's just jump into it. What I think are the worst palettes of 2020. First on the list is very obvious to me. It was honestly a no-brainer when I went through my collection to take these palettes out and talk about the ones that I didn't like. The first one that I grabbed was this. Like, there was just no question in my mind. This is the KVD Vegan Beauty Edge of Reality palette. Man, I did a video with this. This is maybe the like biggest dud of a palette, especially for a holiday release. Like, that I've really come across in a long time. The colors in here are so incredibly lackluster. They are so just dull. There's just nothing in here that stands out on its own. The formula is questionable at best. I really just did not enjoy using this whatsoever. And like, it's just the most off-brand I've seen from them yet, which is saying something because I feel like they lost their brand identity a while ago. This looks like a palette from Estee Lauder or Lancome or something like that, which is fine because those palettes are made for people who will use those colors, but that's so not who this brand was or presumably is. Not to mention that the packaging, ew, I hate this packaging. The packaging on the outside is very, very pretty. I will give them that. This is really beautiful. I like how it's embossed. I like the filigree. That's all really nice. But they tried to do this like recyclable inside, which again, really cool. Glad they're trying something new with that. But it's like the shadows are poured into like this cheap, light, flimsy piece of plastic and it feels really cheap. It feels so, so cheap. And this was not a cheap palette if I recall. Also, I did pay for this palette myself because I'm pretty sure they kicked me off PR for making fun of their new name. But you know what? That's neither here nor there. I was ready to enjoy it anyway. Honestly, like these are just literally the most boring things I've ever seen in my life. Every look that I tried to do with it was the most boring I've ever done in my life. And just in general, I hate this palette. And I'm sorry, I know that's harsh. I just really, really don't like it. Next up, we have a recent one. This is Colourpop Wine Not. This palette, the reason that it's on this list is not because of the quality. The quality's fine. It is just, again, so, so boring. I really expected this to be a little bit more interesting because a few of the shades in here do look at first glance like they could be more interesting. However, they are not. And it is basically just a conglomeration of a bunch of burgundy tones and mauve tones that we all already own probably 87 of. And the packaging is, quite frankly, one of the most egregiously lazy packagings I've ever seen in my entire life. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I pointed out in my last video, which was very recent, they literally just typed the name of it and threw some clip art on here that has nothing to do with wine. This is a wine and only palette, and it has freaking flowers, and it looks like two copy pasted just the same clip art. What? Are you kidding me? I have a theory that Colourpop has like 3 teams, like 3 creative teams at least, like maybe more than that. They have like the A team, the B team, and the C team, and like this is from the C team, you know what I mean? And like the Raw Beauty Christie palette, like they got like their top people, like they were working on that while somebody else who is maybe an intern was working on this. Do you know what I mean? That's my theory. This next palette should also come as no surprise to you on this list. It is the Huda Beauty Naughty Nudes palette. I bought this because I couldn't not try it with this just weird shade. This is the shade Slippery. We talked about this in great detail both here and on Instagram. If you missed that somehow, this is a clear shade with little ugly balls of something in it. Supposedly after I made this video, a lot of people said that you're supposed to use it just as like a clear brow bone highlight. Hey, no thank you. I don't want that either. I don't want grease on my eyebrow bone. What? It's greasy and clear and doesn't have enough shimmer in it to make those little balls like actually make any sort of a difference. It like literally looks like almost nothing when you use it. And then other people were sending me DMs, and which, by the way, if you're one of the people who did that, thank you. Like, I'm not roasting you for like trying to help me. I know you guys were trying to help like get me to actually be able to use this palette successfully, so I get that. I just don't understand why any palette would have a shade in it that like you have to try to make it work so hard. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So the other thing that people were saying is that you're supposed to mix it up into a goo, make all the balls mix into the clear goo, and then use it like that, which no, I'm not doing that. I don't mix it. You mix it. You make the palette and then I use the palette. You know what I mean? So I didn't do that, but I also didn't ever successfully get it to work. And I did try a little bit as like a little brow bone dabby highlight. I could do that with 100 other things and I don't need it in this palette. The rest of the palette was just okay. So realistically, the overall, I think this was just a gimmick and I was a little bit angry that I bought it. You know, the longer I sat with it after the video, the more annoyed I was that I spent money on it. Next is the Too Faced Pumpkin Spice palette. Personally, I found this palette to be very, very annoying to use. I also didn't think that it was terribly pigmented. When I first saw this palette, I was more interested than I was in a lot of other Too Faced palettes recently because it does have like some interesting tones in it. Like A La Mode kind of has like a little bit like a pumpkin pie with nutmeg sort of a look to it. It's very like almost orangey green undertone. Like, it's an interesting color. And the shade Oh My Gourd is like super bright, like shiny gold. So I was like a little bit intrigued, and that's why I picked this up, because I was like, all right, Too Faced, like I'm gonna give this a shot. However, just overall, the formula in this was just not the best, which is not super surprising because Too Faced's palettes are really hit or miss sometimes. It's supposed to smell like pumpkin pie, and like, I don't know, I don't smell anything from it right now. And I recall saying that it didn't actually smell like pumpkin pie when I used it. It smelled like something else, but I can't tell you what that is anymore because it seems like it's completely faded away. Maybe just like, there's like a little hint of vanilla, but it's definitely not pumpkin pie, which is also disappointing. And also, I don't know, I feel like this packaging is really childish to me, and maybe somebody else might not feel that way. Maybe this is more within your aesthetic, but to me, I feel like this looks like a palette for kids. Just overall, this one was a little disappointing, and I was really, really hoping that it was going to be Too Faced's like comeback moment, and it wasn't. The last palette on the list, I don't have it anymore because A, I disliked it so much that I got rid of it, but also it was like quite some time ago that I filmed with it. So there have been a few rounds of clean outs since then, and it didn't make it through those. Palette I'm talking about is the Violet Voss Best Life Volume 2 palette. I tried so hard to like this palette. for multiple reasons. Mostly because you guys wanted me to work with it and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do my best. And secondly, because I had never tried Violet Voss before and I sometimes look at their palettes and I'm like, that looks like a good time. Maybe I like their formula, but oh my God, I certainly did not. The pressed glitters in here, they just didn't do anything for me at all. The formula of it in general was really awful. I don't even remember the specifics of what I disliked so much about this palette. I'm actually gonna go back and watch my video again to remember what it was about the formula that I didn't like, but I just remember struggling with this palette. And if I recall correctly, I think I'm just looking at it on my computer screen and it's like all coming back to me right now. I remember, I'm pretty sure that the pressed glitters were nearly unusable. All I know is that it has inspired me to never buy another Violet Voss palette ever since, which is kind of a bummer, you know? It was my first one and it probably will be my last. And that concludes my list of palettes that I really didn't like in 2020. Please leave me a comment down below. Let me know what your worst palette purchase was of this last year. Not this year because it's 2021 now, but in 2020. What was your worst? What did you feel disappointed in? I would love to hear it. Don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it because it's very helpful and I would very much appreciate it. If you are new around here, please subscribe. I would love to have you around for more videos, and quite frankly, usually I'm a lot more positive than this and we talk about fun things and not things that we don't like. We talk about things that we do like. If you would like to keep up with me between videos, go find me on Instagram. I'm at Miss Quinface over there. I post on my stories every day. I let you know what's coming here on this channel. You get to see what I've been cooking on the weekends. I have made quite a hobby of cooking and it's been a really good time. And we vote in polls and see what's going to happen here on this channel and stuff, and I don't think you want to miss it. Links to my merch are down below. For those of you who asked, I am going to have new designs coming out soon. Still working on those. Want to make sure that it's something creative and fun and aesthetically different enough so that if the current barber stuff wasn't your thing, maybe this one will appeal to you. I want to kind of try to get everybody's sense of tastes in there if I can. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you hanging out with me today, and I will see you in the next one.